My name's Kevin Burrus, and I'm going to talk just a minute about pollen drift and how to manage non-GM corn production to try to minimize GMO contaminant in non-GM grain. So the reason I got this talk is I'm the production man here at Burrus Seed Farms, and one of our roles is to make sure that our seed fields are pure and have only the male parent pollinate the female parent to make a pure cross. And that's an easy transition to a commercial production field where the grower tries to raise non-GM grain for, say, a premium in a non-GM market, and his goals become the same as ours in the seed field, and that is how to maintain purity. And one of the biggest issues both the seed producing company faces as well as the non-GM producer faces is keeping contaminant pollen out of their field. And there's a variety of methods that can be employed. We're standing here in our plot with some blue corn behind the camera and some field corn here that you can see the blue corn pollen migrated from the blue corn plants to this ear and generated these smoky blue colored kernels. So some of the things that a non-GM grower needs to think about to meet a non-GM premium is what crops are going to be planted next to his field. And as a seed corn company, we standardly visit with all our neighbors and identify, okay, what traits is that grower going to have in his crops. So soybeans obviously aren't going to contaminate corn. That's great. It takes very little isolation to keep that pure. Ooh, this neighbor is going to raise a highly traded corn, and he and I are going to plant in a very similar time frame. And how do we both interact? One little tip: telling your neighbor what to plant to benefit you probably is not going to go over well. And to be very frank, everybody gets the joys of property ownership and making their own decisions. So we've learned as a seed company that you ask and you adapt to what the people are going to do around you. And as a non-GM commercial corn grower, that's what you're going to need to do too. So you can use time to isolate, which time isolation is normally on the magnitude of 250 growing degree days or more, which that can be a lot of spring days. To give you an idea, that could be over a month from when the neighbor plants his corn to when you need to plant your corn to keep the pollination window from overlapping. There's a lot of guys that are uncomfortable to do that for obvious reasons. The other alternative is to manage with border rows, or rows that you will not harvest for that non-GM contract. To give you an idea, in a seed field we use both distance and border rows, and the distances vary by the amount of pollen and the sensitivity of the male. So it can be from 160 feet to even 660 feet of non-contaminant crop, which 660 feet is a long ways. And then also we use border rows. So a minimum of 16 on up to 30 border rows. And my strong recommendation to somebody that's going to meet a non-GM commercial corn contract would be to identify what the neighbor's going to grow, keep track of when the corn next to you pollinates and understand how much pollen will drift into your field, and identify, okay, the neighbor's corn pollinated the same day mine did. I need to capture quite a few border rows, 24, 48, and maybe even do a base of, I'm going to start with 24 that I know is not good. The next 24 I'm going to harvest, and I'm going to take a sample into the approving elevator that's seeking the premium and see if that grain's good. The last thing we want to do is assume something is good, put it in a bin with the rest of the field, and then contaminate the entire production and you not get your premium. So again, it's important to know what's planted next to you. It's important to keep track of pollination times. Be thinking that you're going to need to harvest some non-premium outlying rows or border rows, and then if you're unsure about what will make purity or not, don't be afraid to take that sample in and have it checked. So those are my recommendations around managing contaminant pollen drift and non-GM commercial production. Thank you.